බිස්කට් වේදිකාවට දැන් පැමිණි සීග්‍රගාමී රසේ මංචි පොටේටෝ ක්‍රැකර්. බිස්කට් වේදිකාවට දැන් පැමිණි සීග්‍රගාමී රසේ මංචි පොටේටෝ ක්‍රැකර්.
On satellite, on Freeview, on cable, on radio, on mobile, on the web and around the world. This is First at 9 on Other Derana 24/7.
Making headlines first at 9. Law and order. IGP Pujit Jayasundara offers his mobile number to get first-hand information from citizens. Mr. Rajda's fight. Health Minister Dr. Rajda Senaratne says he is at loggerheads with tobacco and pharmaceutical corporations. JVP stance on NCM. Aruda Kumar Disanayaka says the JVP will vote in favour of the no faith motion. Private investment. Central Bank Governor says government does not have the required funds to drive development.
Given the debt dynamics of the government at the moment, they can't drive the development process.
Making headlines from the international arena. Hurricane Harvey. 5 deaths reported and more than 1,000 people were rescued from flooding in Texas. Bringing you news from home and across the world. This is First at 9 on Other Derana 24/7. Good evening, I'm Katharina Chang. Taking a look at a top story tonight, Inspector General of Police Pujit Jayasundara says that the police will soon take action to maintain law and order in the Western Province and offered the number of his own mobile phone to the public to underline how seriously the police are taking allegations of misconduct of police officers.
Several incidents were reported from the Northern Province recently. Various rumours were also spread along with those incidents. I decided to visit the locales myself and address the general public, police officers and all relevant parties. I also implemented a special action plan and it worked. Within 2 weeks, all suspects were arrested. The Awa group is no more and no other group remains to create havoc in the province. That is how we work and it is no different to any other province. However, the most number of crimes are reported from the Western Province. We will take actions to combat those soon. The police can't function without the general public.
IGP Pujit Jayasundara also added that he will not hesitate to take action against police officers who engage in unacceptable behaviour.
We will inform the public about this. If they have any information about the misconduct of police officers, they can inform me confidentially. I will give you my mobile number. You can dial me for an emergency, disaster, narcotics, a severe crime or negligence by the police officers on 0717 582222. Don't be afraid to dial this number. Every detail is confidential. I assure you that I will not divulge your details to anyone.
Minister of Health, Nutrition and Indigenous Medicine Dr. Rajda Senaratne says tobacco and pharmaceutical corporations are at loggerheads with him due to his actions against them. Speaking at an event in Kalutara yesterday, the minister alleged that the corporations are behind the accusations levelled against him.
In the future, I will impose a ban on selling cigarettes outside of a packet in shops. Thus, to buy just one cigarette, one would have to spend about 1,000 rupees. No one else took such action in the past due to pressure from various corporations. We put a stop to that. I will also regulate all charges levied by private hospitals. No minister who tried to take such action was able to stay alive, let alone face down accusations. Professor Sainika Bibile went abroad and his ashes returned in a casket. The pharmaceutical industry is the world's second largest racket. If I don't take action, no one else will. I'm ready to face any threat. If I can't do this, there's no point in holding this ministerial post.
Former President Mahinda Rajapaksa alleges that new Minister of Justice Thalata Korala was appointed to expedite legal action against the Rajapaksa family. The former president made these claims speaking to media in Mutwal yesterday.
Former President Mahinda Rajapaksa visited the Sri Venkateshwara Mahavishnu Devalaya in Mutwal yesterday and engaged in religious observances.
We should wait and see if she can do her duties. Her predecessor was removed because he wasn't bringing court cases against us and wasn't putting pressure on the judiciary and the Attorney General's department. Minister Thalata will have to do so. We are watching to see how they will act.
Leader of the Janata Vimukti Peramuna, Anura Kumara Dissanayake, today refuted the joint opposition's claims that public servants are deprived of the right to contest local government elections, stating that only minor limitations have been made. He made the remark at a media briefing in Colombo, where he also warned that the government has no excuse to delay elections.
There is one group left in despair over this election system. They are the Rajapaksas. Their biggest accusation is that public servants are deprived of the right to contest elections. According to existing law, there are some limits to the right to contest elections. This election system has slightly increased those limits. It's not that they can't contest elections. They can't contest in a particular electoral ward if they had served there within a year's period before the election date, but they can contest in another area.
The JVP leader also touched on the no-confidence motion against Minister of Health, Dr. Rajitha Senaratne.
It is clear that Rajitha Senaratne is not fulfilling his duties and responsibilities as a minister. He should also have stepped aside from the Saitam issue because he has a conflict of interest there. It shows he is not fit to be a minister. Thus, we will support the no-confidence motion against Rajitha.
Minister of Fisheries Mahinda Amaraveera says that despite rumours, the government has no plans whatsoever to sell or lease out the fisheries harbours of the country. The minister made these remarks to media after an event in Veerakatiya last night.
He does not know about the industry, but his father knew it very well. I want to stress that there are no plans to sell or lease out fisheries harbours during my tenure. All the harbours will be administered under the supervision and management of the government. The rumours are mere allegations with no base. But the empty lands near the harbours will be used for tourism and boat manufacturing and repairing plants. That plan will be implemented as joint ventures with the government, not through selling or leasing. Parties are formed and some leave them. But everyone who left has returned to the party in order to enter parliament. No one succeeded independently. If anyone wants to forge a regime, he or she has to join with the SLFP. If anyone wants to defeat the UNP, he has to join the SLFP.
අධිකරණ ඇමතුම අයින් කළා දෙනවා කැබිනට් මන්ත්‍රී. ආණ්ඩුවට විවේචන කරන ඇමතුවරු ආණ්ඩුවෙන් එළවන ප්‍රතිපත්තියක් තියෙනවද ආණ්ඩුවේ?
ඒක අපි දන්නේ නැහැ. මොකද ඒක එක්සත් ජාතික පක්ෂය තමයි.
I have no idea. That is a decision by the UNP. We don't have any issue with Vijayadasa Rajapaksa. But when we are in a government, we all have to work responsibly.
අපි හැමෝටම තියෙනවා.
State Minister of Public Enterprise Development Lakshman Yapabe Wardana says he will continue to criticize any government wrongdoing while he remains within the government, regardless of allegations he may face. He made the remark at a public rally in Waligama Matra yesterday.
We represent the SLFP in this government. You saw our actions during the bond scam. The UNP has levelled accusations against 3 ministers, including myself, because we are criticising the government from within. But that is what we will do even in the future. We are not in this government to gratify anyone. The SLFP is in the government to forge ahead with its policies. No matter who makes complaints or levels allegations, we're ready to criticise the faults of the government. We're not afraid to openly discuss any theft or corruption by the government or its ministers. If we leave the government, it will be on the decision of the SLFP. We're not going to act like some in the government or those in the opposition.
Former Speaker and United People's Freedom Alliance representative of the Hambantota district, Chamal Rajapaksa, says that they are not in a position to approve the current administration procedure by the UNP and the SLFP unity government. He made these remarks at a public gathering organised by the members and the supporters of Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna yesterday at the Tangol Town Hall premises.
Does the government have a mandate to sell the Hambantota port to a foreign country? At least sell it to a local entity or a person. We have to be very specific on what is beneficial and what is not when making deals with foreign countries. The harbour was given on a lease of 99 years. That is a long period. It is clear that unrest will arise among the coming generation. If they decide to sacrifice their lives to win those assets back, we will lose our children. Now the next plan is to give the Matala airport to India. Just think. India and China have their own issue. If anything takes place here, we have to suffer in vain. The oil tanks in Sampo were given to India. The government had to balance the relationships and placate both countries. Is this right? These are not SLFP policies. The money we make from foreign countries can sustain us for only a limited period. Such projects create an issue for the next generation. Therefore, we can't approve of the work of the SLFP-UNP unity government.
Former General Secretary of the United National Party, Tissa Thanayaka, says the UNP requires leadership that can steer the party to victory at the 2019 general elections. He made this comment at a program held at the Veluwanarama Viharaya in Karavita, Galioya today.
The political arena is filled with disagreements and immense competition. I believe the right time to re-enter national politics is fast approaching. I'm ready to become a leader for the majority and take the initiative to once again develop the political movement from within the United National Party.
මට තියෙන ලොකුම ප්‍රශ්නේ ඕක තමයි. ඒ නිසා මේක වෙනස් වෙලා පාක්ෂිකයන්ට සලකන තත්ත්වයක් ඇති වෙන්න ඕනේ. අමාත්‍යවරයා ඔහුගේ අස්කිරීම පිළිබඳව මොකද අනාකල්පය? විජේදාස රාජපක්ෂ මහතා
Vijayadasa Rajapaksa was someone who stood by the party and Ranil Wickremesinghe during times of trouble in the past 10 years. No matter what the situation was, it was not fair of anyone to cast him aside in this manner. From the public's perspective, it is clear that there is political instability.
විශාල දේශපාලන පිපිරීමක ආරම්භයක් ඇති වෙමින් තිබෙනවායි කියලා පේනවා.
ඒ කියන්නේ එක්සත් ජාතික පක්ෂයේ නායකත්වයේ වෙනසක් බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවා.
අවාසනාවට වගේ
For some unfortunate reason, we have not been able to produce a state leader for the past 23 years. We have lost the opportunity to do so for 5 presidential elections. Therefore, what we require is a leader who will be able to lead the UNP to victory in the upcoming presidential elections in 2019.
නායකයෙක් වුමනා වෙයි.
UPFA parliamentarian Ranjit D'Souza says that they will defeat the UMP even if the good governance regime jails those in the party. Speaking at a public rally in Kolonna, Ratnapura yesterday, the members of parliament, along with former members of the UPFA and MPs from the joint opposition, spoke on the shortcomings of the current government and questioned the principles of the SLFP.
Rajitha Senaratne said he will put people in the joint opposition in prison before the upcoming elections. We will defeat the UNP even if he puts us in prison. We challenge him to do this.
The SLFP will be celebrating an anniversary on the 3rd of next month. But we wish to ask what happened to the party's principles. Are the principles of late Bandar Nayaka still followed? Will they bring a constitution that will divide our country and drag us back to war? Will they enter into the ETCA agreement? Will they sell our country's resources? It is us who have correct principles which are contrary to those of the UNP.
Even though we brought forward a no-confidence motion against Dr. Rajitha Senaratne, we do not believe that all 113 of them will vote for us. But we will show the world what sort of a man Rajitha is and reveal what he has done. People ask us why we are only attacking the small people. Why not attack the big players? We will attack them. In the months to come, we hope to get those in parliament to support Mahinda Rajapaksa once again and send the current government home.
Meanwhile, the Sri Lanka Polajana Peramuna recruited new members at a membership drive at the Kurunagala Town Hall this morning. Among the new recruits was former Minister and for District Organizer of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party for the Kurunagala District, Jayaratne Herath. U.S. Assistant Secretary of State for South and Central Asian Affairs Alice Wells will travel to Sri Lanka, Bangladesh and Pakistan from tomorrow until the 2nd of September. Now, the U.S. State Department says she is expected to meet with government officials, business leaders and civil society representatives to discuss U.S. cooperation in the region. She is also scheduled to address the Indian Ocean Conference in Colombo on Friday. Let's now take a look at some other stories making news across Sri Lanka.
A major fire broke out in a shop on Chatham Street this afternoon. The Colombo Fire Brigade said fire brigade units from the Colombo Municipal Council and a substation doused the fire using 6 fire trucks. No injuries were reported in the incident and the cause of the fire is yet to be identified. Today marks the 7th day of the anti-Sitem protest carried out by the students' movement against Sitem opposite Fort Railway Station. Representatives from several organizations, including the Inter-University Students' Federation, are currently engaged in a continuous fast. Over 300 families residing in the Kalagahavala village in Ambilipitiya are affected by a water shortage in the area. Their only sources of water are 3 natural spring wells, which are currently at dangerously low levels. Residents charge that even though measures were taken to inform relevant authorities regarding the matter, their request has fallen on deaf ears. In Damalagama, 3 persons were injured when the 3-wheeler they were travelling in met with an accident along the Kapitipola-Valimara route this morning. One individual was severely injured in the incident and is currently receiving treatment in the ICU of the Badulla General Hospital. The incident was captured by closed-circuit cameras in the area.
Let's now go for a short commercial break. Welcome back to the news. Now, heavy rains and severe flooding remain in store for the United States of Texas as former Hurricane Harvey, now downgraded to a tropical storm, works its way inland. The U.S. National Weather Service cautioned that the storm was so severe that many areas could be uninhabitable for months.
More than 1,000 people have been rescued from flooded parts of Houston, while 5 deaths have been reported so far. "1,800 military personnel were deployed to help with rescue and repair operations. All the rescue efforts are being hampered by strong winds and thousands are without power. Forecasters say flooding could increase to historic proportions and flash flood emergency warnings have been issued for many counties in southeastern Texas.
In the Middle East, Iraqi forces have retaken almost all of the northwestern city of Tal Afar, one of the last strongholds of so-called Islamic State in the country. The Iraqi military stated that all 29 neighborhoods in the city had been taken back from the militant group after just 8 days of fighting. An Iraqi military spokesperson said fighting was still underway in a small area 11 kilometers northwest of the city, where militants who fled the district city center were hiding out. The spokesperson added that Iraqi forces were waiting to retake the area before declaring complete victory in the offensive. In Europe, in a dramatic decline for a president who basked in a landslide election victory less than 4 months ago, French President Emmanuel Macron is now slumping in popularity. An opinion poll showed Macron's dissatisfaction rating rising to 57% from 43% in July.
Only 40% of participants in the opinion poll, conducted for a French newspaper, expressed satisfaction with centrist President Emmanuel Macron in a 14-point drop from July. A French government spokesman said the ruling party was going through a tricky period, but added that displeasing some people was a price worth paying if the government wanted to push through reforms. Macron has suffered a number of setbacks since being elected, including tough debates in parliament over labour reform, a standoff with the military, and cuts to housing assistance.
Welcome back to the news. Now, heavy rains and severe flooding remain in store for the United States of Texas as former Hurricane Harvey, now downgraded to a tropical storm, works its way inland. The U.S. National Weather Service cautioned that the storm was so severe that many areas could be uninhabitable for months.
More than 1,000 people have been rescued from flooded parts of Houston, while 5 deaths have been reported so far. "1,800 military personnel were deployed to help with rescue and repair operations. All the rescue efforts are being hampered by strong winds and thousands are without power. Forecasters say flooding could increase to historic proportions, and flash flood emergency warnings have been issued for many counties in southeastern Texas.
In the Middle East, Iraqi forces have retaken almost all of the northwestern city of Tal Afar, one of the last strongholds of so-called Islamic State in the country. The Iraqi military stated that all 29 neighborhoods in the city had been taken back from the militant group after just 8 days of fighting. An Iraqi military spokesperson said fighting was still underway in a small area 11 kilometers northwest of the city, where militants who fled the district city center were hiding out. The spokesperson added that Iraqi forces were waiting to retake the area before declaring complete victory in the offensive. In Europe, in a dramatic decline for a president who basked in a landslide election victory less than 4 months ago, French President Emmanuel Macron is now slumping in popularity. An opinion poll showed Macron's dissatisfaction rating rising to 57% from 43% in July.
Only 40% of participants in the opinion poll, conducted for a French newspaper, expressed satisfaction with centrist President Emmanuel Macron in a 14-point drop from July. A French government spokesman said the ruling party was going through a tricky period, but added that displeasing some people was a price worth paying if the government wanted to push through reforms. Macron has suffered a number of setbacks since being elected, including tough debates in parliament over labour reform, a standoff with the military, and cuts to housing assistance.
Governor of the Central Bank, Dr. Indrajit Kumaraswamy, said the government does not have the required funds to drive the development process. Speaking at the induction and graduation ceremony of the Institution of Engineers of Sri Lanka yesterday, the CBSL governor added that the private sector has to be the main engine of growth in the economy.
We have basically maxed out on our credit card. Given the debt dynamics of the government at the moment, they can't drive the development process. So the private sector has to be the main engine of growth in the economy because the government simply does not have the money. You can't sustain the 6-7% growth that Sri Lanka now needs as a highly aspirational society. We have a rising middle class, which have quite trenchant aspirations. To meet those aspirations, we have to achieve 6-7% growth. So one of the most disappointing aspects of the post-conflict narrative over the last 7-8 years has been the performance of investment, both domestic and foreign. Because usually at the end of a conflict, you get a spike in investment. We had a spike in public investment, much of it financed by foreign commercial borrowing, but private investment, both domestic and foreign, has been disappointing. So the challenge for us as policymakers is to create the confidence, to get the kind of sentiment in the domestic private sector for them to open their wallets and invest.
Dr. Indrajit Kumaraswamy also spoke on the development of the Hambantota port deal.
You know, I think the debate around the Hambantota port, in my view, was not framed appropriately. It's clear that that deal had to protect the national interest. So you have to get a good deal in terms of the 99-year lease. But that is not just a port deal, because the Chinese are going to use that port to develop that whole area. Initially, they're going to invest in a cement factory, an LNG plant, a refinery, and a ship repair facility. So they call those the foundational industries. And the foundation they're laying to build a large-scale industrial zone or zones in that area.
President Maithripala Sirisena participated in the inauguration of a luxury hotel in Nuwara yesterday. The hotel is owned by the president's brother, businessman Dudley Sirisena.
The opening of the newly built star-class hotel in Nuwara was held with the participation of President Maithripala Sirisena and several ministers and parliamentarians from the government as well as the opposition.
My efforts to establish this business began even before President Maithripala Sirisena went into Parliament. I don't like it when people connect my brother, the President, to some of my business ventures.
The Asian Development Bank's Board of Directors has endorsed a country partnership strategy for 2018 to 2022, amounting to up to $1 billion per year to help Sri Lanka transition to an upper middle income country. Now issuing a release earlier this week, the ADB said its 2018 to 2022 country partnership strategy aims to diversify economic activities, boost productivity and improve inclusivity. The financing will go to transport, energy, urban infrastructure, finance the economic corridor from Colombo to Trincomalee and boost human capital. ADB will help government efforts to strengthen the legal system, develop capital markets and establish a credit guarantee institution for small and medium-sized enterprises. It will also aid public-private partnerships. Now, during the past week, the all-share price index lost 0.4%, recording its sixth consecutive weekly fall, with the S&P SL20 index also losing 0.4% for the week. The average daily turnover was down from last week to 528 million rupees. Head of Research for First Capital Holdings, Dimantha Matthew, has our forecast for the coming week.
We believe that with the current attractive valuations that buying interest will continue to improve in the market. while turnover levels are also likely to increase. Local buying interest in institutional, retail and high net worth is likely to be on the increase in the coming days as investor confidence improves. Foreign interest is also likely to accelerate and improve, resulting in an overall uptrend in the market.
Stand-in captain Chamara Kapugedera won the toss and elected to bat against India today at Pallekele, but was left to rue that decision as the host only managed 217 from their 50 overs. Pegged back by standout Indian bowler Jasprit Bumrah, who claimed 5 wickets for just 27 runs. Requiring 218 to win, India currently 168 for the loss of 4 wickets. Meanwhile, Sri Lanka cricket confirmed that Dinesh Chandimal will miss the remainder of the series against India after fracturing his right thumb while batting.
The Sri Lankan batsman struggled with the movement extracted by Indian seamers Jasprit Bumrah and Bhuvneshwar Kumar, with the dangerous Nirshan Dickwalla falling early for 13. Kusal Mendes fell quickly after for just 1, but Dinesh Chandimal and Lahiru Thirimana, included in the side replacing Upul Taranga and Danushka Gunatilaka, built Sri Lanka's biggest stand of 72 runs. Chandimal fell for 36 in the 26th over with the score at 100, and while middle-order batsmen were watchful, they struggled to score fast. Thirimana fell for 80, scored at a strike rate of 76 to Bumrah in the 40th over, and the seamer picked up 2 more wickets to claim his maiden 5-wicket haul as Sri Lanka struggled to 217.
The West Indies fought back against hosts England on day 2 of the second-day night test at Headingley yesterday, powering past the host total of 258 courtesy of centuries by Shai Hope and Craig Braithwaite. The tourists went past England's total in the evening session, the first time since Old Trafford in 2004 that the West Indies have held a first innings lead in England.
England only managed 258 thanks to a counter-attacking century by vice-captain Ben Stokes, and the hosts had West Indies reeling with 2 early wickets in the morning session. Devendra Bishu went for just 1 run and Kyle Hope fell for 3, but his brother Shai Hope joined Craig Braithwaite as the visitors began to settle. The pair put on the biggest partnership for the West Indies in England since Gordon Greenidge and Larry Gomez in 1984 at Lord's, and Braithwaite only fell for 134 after he had added 245 with Hope. Roston Chase also fell to the second new ball, but Hope took the West Indies to stumps at 329 for 5, unbeaten on 147, with the West Indies leading by 71 runs.
In your weather forecast tonight, we can expect the low pressure zone in the southwest region of the country to continue until tomorrow night. This may lead to some wet weather over the western Sabragamua and central provinces and the Gaul and Mathri districts, with fairly heavy falls of about 50 millimeters forecast for the Ratnapura, Kegaul, Kalutara, Gaul and Mathri districts. Now here's a look at your city-by-city weather forecast. Before we go, we'd like to take you to Beijing, where the China drone racing final kicked off on Friday, with enthusiasts maneuvering their drones through obstacles, trying to be the fastest one. 27 players from across China participated in the competition, which is part of the World Robot Conference. Thank you for joining us. Have a pleasant evening.
news and information 24 hours a day. This is Sri Lanka's premier news channel, Other Derana 24/7.